people logged into the Zoom meeting. So again, hi, I'm Rick Wilson with Martin Associates. I trust everyone is staying healthy and adjusting to our new normal with what we're all facing. So, but for today, I'm excited to welcome our presentation on FYIsoft, highlighting their suite of leading-edge FP&A, so that's financial planning and analysis solutions. And for today's topic, I guess specifically, while we're all at home probably, FYIsoft solutions are all browser-based, so they are all work from home ready. So before we dive in and introduce our presenters, I'd like to take care of a few housekeeping items. So first of all, the presentation is going to be recorded, and we will be sending out a link to everybody that has signed up and or attended over the next day or so. If you've got questions during the presentation, go ahead and use the Zoom chat feature and go ahead and post those. We're going to answer all those at the end. And then we'll go ahead and answer them then. So without any further delay, I'd like to introduce Terry Timmons with FYIsoft to start things off. So Terry, it's all yours.
Thanks a lot, Rick, and thanks everyone for taking the time to look at the FYIsoft solution suite today. Some of you may know FYIsoft from our financial reporting, and now we also have analytics and budgeting. And we're particularly coming to play today with, we have distributed teams working from home. Many of you are working at home like us, and you still have to get the financial close done, right? And really the same amount of time, maybe less, because you need the numbers faster to make decisions faster. So you can do that because everything is web enabled, so you can access our solutions anytime, anywhere, from any device. So whether it's financial reporting, analytics, or budgeting. With analytics, right now, you really get to do a deep dive into your numbers and to find that edge to help you get through this difficult time. So you have a couple options. You can redesign your Excel spreadsheets. You can hire a consultant. That could be pricey. Redesigning spreadsheets can be time consuming. But with Analytics FYI, as we call it, we have ready-made templates that's going to give you your ratios and your KPIs right out of the box. So you can quickly get insights into your financial data and make decisions quicker than before. And with budgeting, everything's going to be different. You can't use 2020 budget for 2021 anymore. So you're going to have to redesign your budget templates. Well, our budget FYI, as we call it, you use the financial structure from Report FYI, the same consolidation, same structure to build out in Report FYI, you use it for your budgeting. So you don't have to, and the templates that are right out of the box as well for budgeting. So you can go and create budget scenarios by dragging and dropping and very quickly get new budgets. And this year might have to, for next year, might have to use euro-based or whatever, but you can also design multiple budget scenarios in it at the same time and use them very quickly. So we're going to save you a lot of time on analytics and budgeting, and we're also be able to use the solutions from anywhere, anytime. And for today's agenda, the FYIsoft team joining me today is our controller, Lisa Scally. She's going to demo Report FYI, and Grace Bowen, our VP of Finance Operations, who's a demo Analytics FYI. We didn't think we'd have time for demo budget FYI today, so please let Martin Associates know if you want to see a one-on-one demo of any of these solutions. And first of all, I'm going to tell you a little bit about Solution Suite before we turn it over to Lisa and then Grace. And we'll follow up with some Q&A. Sorry about that. Very touchy on my template here. So, as Rick mentioned, we offer the whole full FP&A suite right now to help in your financial close. And our software is easy to use. You can get it running very quickly. It's designed specifically for accountants to use. And particularly helpful if you're a multi-entity or fast-growing organizations because we process data and reports very quickly. We're layering AI in our solutions so it can quickly be further insights into trends and problem areas. And as I talked about in the intro, our solutions are ready to use out of the box, and we have a full support team to help out as well. And with Report FYI, we help you speed up your month-end close, particularly helpful right now. And with Chicago Bulls, we help them save 8 days in their month-end close. So you can get that data quicker to make decisions faster. Here's an overview of our solution suite with Report FYI, Analytics FYI, and Budget FYI. And all the solutions are connected directly to your general ledger. So the data is always going to match your GL. And there's always going to be one version of the truth, and we can work with multiple general ledgers. So if you're maybe running Sage and you bought a company running Acumatica and you want to convert everybody to Acumatica, but you realize it can take a few months, you can run consolidated statements right away using FYIsoft, using multiple GLs, and you can pull in data for our solutions from other data sources. Now I have just one slide each on each of our solutions, and we'll turn it over to Lisa after that. So with Report FYI, talk about the easy ability to consolidate multiple entities, and also it's very easy, as you've seen the demo, to create reports and easy to change them as well. And then once you have the reports that are going to be board ready, you can, with a click or schedule, easily distribute them, quickly and easily distribute them to end users. And then once they receive the reports, they can drill down very quickly to find all the way from consolidated down to transaction detail, to find answers to questions that come up in the month when you're comparing the budget or what have you. And as mentioned earlier, everything's available 24/7 from anywhere, any device. And with Analytics FYI, I mentioned before, there's pre-built templates right out of the box, as well as all the dashboards and financial ratios you're going to want, and will include your KPIs that are specific to you. And then include benchmarking, so you can compare how you're doing against those in your industry and of similar size. So we have financial data going back 10 years for 3,700 or so companies. And you pull your SIC code or your industry code, and those are similar size, and from that data set, you compare how you're doing. So if your financial ratio at the end of the month is 2.0, you say, okay, I'm pretty liquid, I meet my debt covenants, I think I'm good, but would it be helpful to know how you're doing against your competition and your peers? And you pull this data set, you see that maybe the current ratio there is 2.5 from the average of that data set. You say, maybe I need some more work to do to be, to get more liquid to help keep up with my competition and my peers. That's what that's about. And with Budget FYI, as we mentioned before, it's integrated with your actual reporting, the same reporting structure. And we have an audit trail of approvals, and you're not using Excel, so we eliminate manual errors. As we mentioned before, we can also have simultaneous budgets. Many budget scenarios are going on at any one time. And once again, available anytime, anywhere on a device. And we'd be happy to take questions at the end after Lisa, and then Grace demos Report FYI and Analytics FYI. And then I'm going to stop share right now, and then Lisa's going to grab the screen, and then I'll Report FYI for you. So when you're ready, Lisa, take it away.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Lisa Scalia. I am an accountant here at FYIsoft and a user of the software. Terry had mentioned how you don't need an IT department. It's user-friendly, and I can speak firsthand of that because I have not had any formal training, and I was able to jump right in and create reports. So, if you have any questions specifically about how I did it, or any accounting type questions and how you would apply this to some of your scenarios, please feel free to ask. But I'm going to jump right in right now, and I'm starting off with, this is a report that I just ran earlier today, and I wanted to show it to you because I think it's important that you understand what we're trying to head toward as I go along this. So in general, across the top here, you have the columns that I set up in my column definition, and they're pretty straightforward: actual, current period, and year-to-date, actual, budget, and variance. On the left-hand side is the row definitions that I set up, which is revenue, product revenue, consulting, and the last piece is the actual data, and that's called the organization. So our three components, to recap, are our column, our row, and our organization. So I'm just going to jump in right now to organization to show you how that works. And I just want to point out, if you notice on the left hand, I have a lot of reports. This is a demo system, and there's a lot of users on this. So, you might not have anything quite as large or as, probably more organized like this, but we don't have it for this purpose. So right here, just to just show you real quickly, this is what I call the home screen, because this is where I spend all my time. This is where I go and I create the components for my reports as well as generate the reports. So I could have easily navigated on the left bar here to go to the organization, or I could just come here to my home screen and click it, and it brings me directly to the organization. So if you notice, the mask, which is the most important part of this, it's telling it for this particular report that I'm running, and it's a company-based report, so the big focus on this is the first 3-digit prefix, which defines company. This is totally user-defined. I could set up organizations by department, by region, by anything you want to. As long as it's part of your account mask, which is over here, you can generate a report for it. And just to give you a quick synopsis, in this case, it's company 100, all accounts, all divisions, departments, regions. So wildcards can be used in your masks. You can drag and drop, into different, to get different layouts if you want to. But just so you know, this is just the way that you want to slice and dice the report for generating. So you'll see later on when I run the report that you're going to be able to view the report by company, because this is how we set up the organization. Okay. One thing that I want to point out here is that it looks seamless right now. It looks like we have 6 companies. Theoretically, these could be 6 companies from 6 different accounting systems, 6 databases, 6 completely different environments. But once it gets here, it looks like it's all part of the same organization. So all the work is done in the background using our Connect FYI product and the database. So this is a way to take the data and interpret it so it's useful for my report. On the same point here, you have a distribution list. So if I want to distribute all company 100 information to this group and company 200 information to this group, it's automated. If I set it up here and then use it for my reports, I don't have to think about who I want to send this to. It automatically sends to the people in this distribution list. And I just edit myself so I could show you later on how the reports come over. Okay. Let's see what else. If you have any partial ownership for different organizations, you can have a report just based on your percentage of ownership over here, if that's something that you need. Okay. So before I go on to anything else, I just wanted to give you a quick look at the distribution list. So right now we have one called Consolidated Reporting. So I want to come down here and show you that. And that's this group right here. So right now, these are the people that are available, that are users of the system, and I could just select which ones I want to have part of this group. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. You can add, you can remove, totally up to you. Okay. Okay, so I'm going back to my original report. Again, my home screen. And it's asking me, do I want to leave because I didn't save it, which I do not want to save it. Okay, so we just looked at organizations. The second component I want to show you is your columns. Pretty straightforward. Things that you would see in normal financial statements, your actual, your budget, and your variance. You would set up formulas like this. You can refer, it's sort of like Excel in that you can just refer to the columns for your formulas and do different types of calculations. You could change the formatting for a column. You could determine which currency you want to use for a column. And I didn't mention earlier, but you in the organization and the Connect FYI, you could set your currency. So if you're a multi-currency organization, you can put your currency code in there, and you can have your formulas accordingly. So your column types, you have many types to choose from. You can insert rows to the right, to the left, remove column, copy and paste. Right now, let me say, okay, in this case, it's a calculation column, but you could choose a period amount, descriptions, an account, a separator. You can refer to a worksheet, Excel worksheet column. So it's pretty straightforward. Columns are nothing that you haven't seen it before, I'm sure. So let me just jump back, and I'm going to leave it and show you the report form, row format. Okay, so these are the same rows that we saw earlier, on the financial statement I showed you. And you decide what row type you want to use. Most of the time, GL, description, and calculation are the primary ones you use. Underscores, assign row value is really for formulas, and you would use that. And I'll show you later, but if you, let's say for instance, you want to use percent of total sales, you would tell it, I want row 80, in this case, to be used as my denominator. So here, row 80 is my total revenue, and you'll see that in the formula when we look at the report again. Okay, for GL accounts, you have options. You can manually key in whatever accounts you want to. You could separate by commas. You could do account ranges. You could do wildcards. So in this case, every account that has the prefix 45, anything after that will show up on this row of the financial statement. And lastly, you have this account collection, which I am a big fan of. And the primary reason is you add accounts and delete accounts on a regular basis. And if you don't want to go into each report that you create, or each row format, I should say, and add those accounts, you could simply go into the product revenue, in this case, account collection, and just add it to that group. So let me just show you that real quickly. Okay, so here's the account collection I'm looking at. And in this case, it's showing me, I want to see in this account collection, everything from account 4100 to 4200, everything in the range 4250 to 4250. But my chart of accounts is not clean, and sometimes there's some miscellaneous accounts that shouldn't be in there. So in this case, I have the range 4100 to 4200, but I want to remove account 4160 from that range. So rather than going in and say everything from 4100 to 4159 and 4162 to 4200, I could do it this way, and I think it's a lot cleaner. And I could assign this account collection to all the row formats I do. So when I add accounts, this is where I'll do it. So I'm a big fan of this. Okay, so back to my report, home screen again. Okay, so I showed you the 3 components of the report. Now we can create a report. Just a couple of quick things I want to go through on this screen. You can have drill down, and if you choose to select these options right here, what level of drill down that you want. So you can drill down actually to the transaction level detail if you allow it on this report, and you would just select these buttons. Okay, just across the top here is your defaults for the report. So once you set it up and save it, you don't have to make any changes. But there's some just formatting options, like how do you want your page set up? How do you want negatives to show up? You know, you could do it in red if you choose to. Some people do it. You can change your rounding if you want to do it in thousands, or do you want to see it to the pennies? It's up to you. And some of these other things on the bottom are just to fine-tune the reports. Usually you know to look for these when you're not getting quite what you're looking for in the report. For instance, in this case, do you want to see future periods on a report? That's an option. So you have a lot of different setup things that usually in the box you set it up with the defaults, and then if you see something's not working, you go in and make your changes. How do you want to see transactions on your drill downs? How do you want your headers and footers to show up? You could put your company logo on the reports, and it'll appear there. What I like here is we're using tokens, and tokens are really good because you don't want to hard code your like, for instance, organization. You don't want to hard code it on this report because you may run this report later with a different organization. So you wanted to select the organization directly from the organization you chose when you ran the report. So that's what tokens are used for. We're using them here. It's covered with braces, and it's used here just as a report footer. There's a whole list of tokens you can choose from. I'm a big fan of using these rather than hard coding in. Okay. And lastly, and pretty important, is distributions. Who do you want this report to go to? And if you see this is selected, if you saw earlier, we had an organization set up with a distribution list. I can unselect that, and I can go in here and manually choose which groups I want to get the reports. Okay, so I have an option. I think it's probably wiser to get it from the organization, but you may have times you don't want to pull from the organization. Okay, so I'm going to leave the default there. When the report is ready, I can email the report to individuals or groups. And this is just the email body that I want to show on the report. So this is the header. This is, tell me if you have any changes. I have tokens with the report name and the period covered. And then here I have the URL to the actual login so the users can get to the reports. So the distribution list does not bypass security. So even though I have individuals in this group, it's still going to force the users to log in, and their security will be in effect. So you don't have to worry about, if there's different levels of security in the group. But one thing that I am doing in this scenario is I am emailing an attachment, a PDF attachment. Anybody who receives this email will see that attachment. So that is not secure. Whatever the report is, it will be shown its entirety, except there will be no drill down options, okay? And you have other formats that you can choose from. So I'm going to save my settings, and I am going to submit the report because I want to print it out right now. And what it's going to do is bring me through all those settings that I chose earlier. And I'm just going to scroll right by it. One thing I do want to point out to you is you can set up a report on a scheduled basis. I can say how often I want to run this report, what day and time, start and end dates, and I can run this report on a regular basis if I choose to. So that's a nice little tool if you have reports that you run on a regular basis. Okay, but for this case, I'm just going to run it once, and I'm going to submit. Okay, so the report is submitted, and if you notice here, it's ready to go. And it's the same report we saw earlier. Okay, so something I didn't show you earlier, and I do want to point out, is the drill down. So for instance, travel expense, I notice our actual is a little over our budget by $193,000. So I want to drill down and see why. So I can do that by clicking on the actual amount. And over here, I could see more detail on that. So I could see company 200 is the problem, or one of the problems. So I can click on that. And now I'm actually at the transaction level. So I'm sorry, account level. So I could see what account is the problem account. And I know this is the account right here. And I could drill down. And that is the transaction level. So I could, this is actually coming directly from the GL. And I could see exactly, where the problem is and help identify it. This is a nice tool because, you don't want the accounting office to get bombarded with phone calls. Why is this account variance so large? When they can easily have, self-serve and come in here and try to identify the issues. Okay. Another thing I just want to show you here, again, if you notice when we selected our organization, we had a company organization, and that's why I see the companies on the left here. So I can look at let me go back to the main screen, and I could just look at company 200 if I choose to. So right now, I'm looking at just company 200 or company 300. Okay, and this is all driven by the organization that I chose. If I had chose a departmental or regional, I could have gone at that level. Okay, and just let's see what I'll just quickly show you the email that was sent so you know what it looks like. Okay, so this is the one I just sent over, and this is in my inbox, and it's showing me here's my label that I keyed in. It's giving me the URL, which I would click and go into my license. Okay, and it also gives me the PDF with the same report. Just again noting that this will go to everybody who is on that recipient list, so they will see everything. Okay. Okay. Just quickly, I want to show you packages. So when you set up your reporting, maybe you want to set a whole package of financial statements, your P&L, your balance sheet, your cash flow. You can set up by just selecting on the left here. These are all the available reports that were set up, and I would just come in here and just pull it over. And these are the reports now that you could set up to run all your package reports on a periodic basis. So you have that as an option as well. Okay. Another nice feature is the audit component. I'm going to leave this and not save it. I like this because, you may not always, you may have a lot of row definitions for your financial statements. So you want to see if you add accounts and you delete accounts and things are out of whack, you're not tying out. So you want to see if maybe perhaps your account, you're missing an account or in your list. So you can run an audit, and this is my row definition, which is where the accounts are assigned. So I can come here and audit, and what it will tell me is this is the first account used, 4,100. This is the last account used. And it's telling me this account right here is not used. So I could definitely see that this is definitely part of the problem that I'm encountering. You'll see that you'll see multiple uses in these accounts. I mean, and sometimes there is a reason for that because you use formulas and you may refer to an account more than one time. And so that is something that does happen. But if an account is not used, that should be a red flag that something's going on. Okay. And just to jump into organizations again, so I just want to show you one last thing. Okay. So for instance, here's a departmental org chart. Let me just show you side by side. Here's the company where the first 3 digits are what we're really reporting on. I could choose now a departmental format where the third segment, which is the department, is being used for my reports. And if I use this in my report, I would now be able to drill down by the department level. I could do it as I said again, any combination of the accounts you can drill down in. And Okay. Locations, I have one set up for locations, the same thing. Okay. So it's really up to you how you want to do this. It's just, again, taking all the population of your database and slicing it and dicing it in a way that's useful and meaningful in a report. Okay. I don't know. I think I covered everything at a real high level. Again, if you have any questions, you can pose them and we can answer them at the end. And I appreciate your time. And thank you so much. Rick, it's all you.
Great. Thanks a lot, Lisa. I think we'll go ahead and get Grace to maybe share the screen and then go over analytics FYI.
Hi, everyone. Okay, if I could just ask you, Lisa, to stop share, then I could grab the screen from you. Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so I think you can now see my screen. This is our Analytics FYI main page. What Lisa has shown you is a very powerful tool that allows you to create at a very fast scale at numerous different reports. As you can see from her distribution list, you could literally have hundreds of reports created at the same time and have it automatically distributed to the different people. And because of our component-based architecture, you could really mix and match all the different column, row definitions, and org tree definitions that you have created, mix and match them to create a new report. So it's a very powerful tool for you to create at a massive scale different slice of the financial view for your company. So what I'm going to show you today is Analytics FYI. It's intended for a different audience. I'm going to show you how the casual users could use it. These are people maybe out in the field, your operating managers. They may not all have an accounting background, but they are all responsible for their P&L for all the operations under their reporting unit. So the Analytics FYI gives them a quick visualization of where they're at any certain point. And then the other intended audience is your analysts. These are people who may want to do ad hoc analysis of what has happened for the month, or even do some predictions or forecasts for how you guys will finish at the end of the month, so they could slice and dice, do different drill downs, do different filtering and pivoting of their reports. So they're a little bit different in their focus, but they both rely on the same database. So we leverage a lot of the structures that you would have developed in Report FYI in Analytics FYI. So for instance, the org trees that Lisa built for her reports, I could use that for my analysis. And again, we share the same database. We pull these data from the general ledger, and so you have one version of the truth. Okay, so I'll go ahead and show you the Analytics FYI. What we have really done is to try to have it out of the box with some financial templates that we think are common and valuable for most companies out there. So you really get a fast return on your investment. After the implementation, the application is ready for you to use. Of course, later on in the demo, I will show you some of the possible additional analysis you may want to build after you see what the capabilities are from the delivered templates. A lot of companies feel it's important, of course, to incorporate the operating metrics or statistics along with their financial information to give them meaningful information that they can make decisions on. Okay, So as you can see with the overview page, my demo company is basically a conglomerate company that has both retail and hotel activities. So they have two different divisions, the retail division and then the hotel division, and then they have a holding company. I don't have a lot of data here in the demo company. I just have 2 years with the various different periods. So it's very easy for you to pick and choose what you want to display, what you don't want to display, and the charts will automatically respond to your selection. And as you can see, the purpose is really to have a high-level glance of how the company is doing. So we're highlighting the revenue, the gross profit, and the net income for the company. And then down here, we have a further breakout of the operating expenses by department. And then here are just some metrics that we want to highlight. You know, we set our targets. This is how we're doing. And so it compares how you measure up to the targets that you have set for yourself. Okay, so from here, we can also go to a trend analysis. You know, it's very informative to, at a high, at an overall glance, to see how you're doing your actual compared to your budget for the various different periods of the year. Again, you could select all the companies, or maybe you want to just focus on your operating, take out the holding companies activities because, you know, they're not quite a true operating a picture of what you have done. So, and then again, here we're focused on net income, the absolute numbers compared to the percentages. So we can see how we're doing. Of course, for this company, we only have 2 years data, but imagine if you have, you know, 10 years of history for your company, how informative this could be. And again, right now I have it for the total company with the different filters. You may want a different view where maybe you have 10, 15 different operating units and you want to see them side by side. So we could do that as well. Keep in mind what I'm showing you, it's really out of the box, what we deliver. But again, what it can do, it's very powerful. So you could definitely tailor it to what your needs are. Okay, so I'm going to the operating expenses section of the demo here, but I could go to the operating expense report directly, or I could drill through from one of these, from the donut chart there. And as you can see, once I drill through, I'm looking at all the operating expenses pertaining to my department, the IT department. Or I could have easily selected a different department from the previous donut chart to go specifically to that particular department as well. Okay, and just kind of highlighting what are all the expenses that's contributing to my IT department. Real quick, I could see how each line item compared to my budget. Here I've set tolerance levels for the variances. So it looks like all these different expense categories, I'm still within tolerance. The only thing is insurance and travel expenses are really too high for what I feel comfortable with. So I would want to do further analysis. Here's a nice line chart to see how we are comparing from actuals to budget. And then also this breaks everything down by periods. So I could very easily drill down further if I want to analyze one of these expenses. So for March, for the insurance, maybe I want to see why that is particularly higher than April. So I could click on this, show the data as a data point. And again, similar to the report FYI drill down, this is information coming at on your general ledger. So it's at a journal level. And so you can actually see, you know, what was the description for that particular journal, what are all the accounts, the details related to it. So that's very useful, okay? So we covered the top line, we covered the operating expenses. The other component that's also very important to everyone is their cash flow. So at a glance, we're showing you a cash flow statement here. And then, most of the cash activity is laid out here. So you can see from period to period how what your cash flow levels at. And then it's driven, as everyone knows, primarily by your accounts receivable and payable. So we have it laid out here as well. Okay, so what I've shown you so far are kind of quick, high level, information at your fingertip type of charts. Now we're going to go to the more detailed analysis type of functions that an analyst would, I think, really appreciate. Okay, so again, with the company, we have segment one of their key is the company code. So you can see right now what we're looking at is the breakdown. I'm just looking at office expenses here, but I could have easily selected maybe all operating expenses. Okay, so it's got the company, then it's broken down by different departments, and then it has the years laid out. I could go from actuals to maybe just look at budget information. I could, instead of all periods, focus on just one or two. And then again, departments, I could filter out based on departments and also based on divisions. So this is very helpful, I believe, for them to really analyze at a detail of how they're doing, or if they have a variance on a particular line item, they could even go down to the account level here. And again, they could drill down to the journal entry if they like. Okay. So another version of that is really to give them the ability to even pivot this particular report by the different segments of their key. So, divisions, departments are very common accounting key segments, but maybe you have product line, maybe you have different project codes or various different things you want to kind of dissect your company. So you could use this to pivot from one to another. And again, we could also set up different filters at the top to help you do your analysis better, okay? So this is right now the P&L view of your financials. I could very easily switch to the balance sheet view if I wanted to. At a very quick level, I could see this is basically how, and the roll-up is taken from Report FYI, so it very quickly helps you look at how, what your P&L looks like, your operating expenses, your bottom line here. Okay, and then if right now it's for 2018, for the 4 periods I've chosen, I could very easily pivot this. So I'm looking at it for just the retail and hotel division side by side. Okay, and I could see, there's no gross profit coming from the holding company, and these are all the expenses each unit has contributed. And then again, pivot this by department. So I have my sales, IT, admin, marketing department, and so forth. Okay. Again, this is still out of the box what you get. The other thing that we have provided is a report that shows your favorite, basically 6 different ratios you want to monitor your company by. So we have our return of asset, equity, cash from operations, your cash ratio, your current ratio, and here's a list of all of them for you to choose from. Okay, for this particular company, again, I have it broken out by the different divisions, but I could also do something like this. This company, I have 10 years information, so it might be more meaningful for me to see at a glance how my return of equity has changed throughout the years. Okay, and again, there's filter information up here, so you could maybe focus on just a specific division. Okay, In the latest release, we've actually taken this one step further because some people feel 6 ratios is just not enough. So we are giving you the ability to even have more ratios out there. In this chart, we've actually broken it out. So some of the, and categorized them. So profitability related ratios are here. We have turnover ratios here that look at your inventory turnover, your AP, fixed assets, and so forth. And then also liquidity, focus on your cash flow. And again, this company has 10 years of information, so this is much more meaningful for them. We actually added the functionality for you to compare to some benchmark information to see how you compare to your competitors out there. So that's also out of the box. We've provided even more ability for you to graphically see how your revenue and operating leverages. Operating leverage is basically, it measures your fixed costs as a variable to your revenue. So it's, and then we've done some year-over-year revenue growth plotting for you. And then there's even a little bit of forecasting here to help you say based on your trend of revenue performance where we think you may end up from year to year. Okay. What I'm going to show you from here on are things that are basically can be configured and tailored to your business or your industry. For example, this one is set up for a company in the manufacturing industry. You know, for them, the cost components are very important to actually help them control their bottom line. So you can see they run at a very small profit margin. So what that means is, you know, everything that they could do to reduce their costs, whether it's cost of goods sold, whether it's the delivery costs, sales, marketing, can have an impact on their bottom line. And then for them, we also put together a profitability analysis to see the impact of each one of those, each of their cost components, how that contribute to their EBIT here. So for this company, like I said, they run on a very tight margin. So their sales actually has some impact, but it's not as significant as just by reducing the cost of goods sold. So they could see from the previous chart that their cost of goods sold has actually increased over the last couple of years, but historically it could run at 70 to 72 to 73%. So just by bringing themselves back to what historically they know is doable, you know, it could have a significant impact to their bottom line. Okay. One more thing I want to show you. This is completely different, but it's something that is totally capable, and it brings in the operating information with your financials. So this is a template we've done for the shipping and transportation company. Here you can see the focus, you know, while the financial templates I've shown you is very important and help them manage their business, but it's also some of these metrics that really help out from their operating manager's point of view. So, you know, since they're in shipping and transportation, on-time delivery is one of the focus. Utilization of their fleet is important to them. How many trips, what are their insurance claims? Certainly they want to make sure things are delivered undamaged. And then another view that shows them how they're doing their revenue by state, where their customers are the top contributors to their you know, revenue stream, who are the customers with the highest activity, where they're delivering to the revenue by their different truck categories. So So again, this is something that could be done, but keep in mind there's a, a delivered templates and then the out of the box, and then the different customized visualizations we could build for you. So we really want to make sure that analytics FYI is something that you could see the benefits of it very quickly without deliver templates, and then to enhance it, adding your specific operating information and your industry information to enhance it to bring more value to your operators and your managers out there. So, okay, I think that's what I have.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Great. Thanks a lot, Grace. Nice job. So I guess there are a few questions that came up out there. So I guess I'll use the one that is relating to analytics here. It says, what do you use to provide benchmarking for analytics? What is the source of that, I guess, is what the question is.
Yeah, for right now, a lot of it is publicly available information that we brought in and scrubbed and cleaned up and normalized it for our purpose.
Okay. All right. There's one about, I think it probably was from when Terry was talking earlier. Tell us more about how FYIsoft plans to use AI, since that was mentioned, artificial intelligence.
Yeah, so what I may have mentioned was that we use it to help you find problem areas very quickly. It'll be highlighted, and also the ability to spot trends very quickly. And is there anything you wanted to add to that, Grace?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of relationship between, expense accounts, how your, revenue accounts relate to different types of your expenses. Like I was saying with operating leverage, we want to make sure that we find a lot of it is more mathematical, but the coefficient, how one element relates to another. So maybe some of your variable costs will move side by side along with your revenue, but some of them are kind of not related at all. So we want to help you identify those different cost elements that will help you control and kind of forecast what your bottom line would be. The other thing that we could use it for is really to see what are the how expenses and revenues move with each other for people in your industry, and how do you compare to that? So.
Okay. There's one here about the budget FYI. I know we didn't go into the details of that from a demo standpoint. There was a question, how did the budgets created in Budget FYI get back to my general ledger?
For right now, our plan is for you to do most of the variance comparison within our budget FYI and also within report FYI. Whatever data that you use our FYI budget to plan out is going to be reportable with report FYI. And as far as feeding it back to your GL, most GLs will allow some sort of a file feed, whether it's an Excel format or a CSV format. Yes, our plan would be to produce this file, but it's not going to be specific to a particular GL. Right now, it's a file that then you have to manipulate to provide the information that your GL expects.
Okay.
Okay.
And that there was, I guess this is the last one. What type of licenses, is there a difference between people who design reports versus only need to view them?
Yes, so for report FYI, we have three types of users. For will be the call authors, which would be the designers, I guess in the old FRX world. So we have authors, so they can create and edit reports, also run the reports and view them. Then we have next level would be publishers. They cannot create and edit reports, but they can run reports and view and drill down on them. And then we have the viewers, which all they can do is view and drill down.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that's all we had for the questions. I guess we're real close to 2 o'clock here, so we'll wrap up. So Terry, Lisa, Grace, great job, and you know, showing all of the benefits of FYIsoft's suite of products there. Pretty good stuff. Again, everybody, this has been recorded, and you'll get an email from us, you know, asking if there's any further questions, and we'll have a link to that recording. And I think that's it. So once again, thanks for everybody joining us. I know everybody's busy, so hopefully you felt this worthwhile. So hope to talk to everybody soon. And thanks again, Terry, Grace, and Lisa.
Thank you very much. Everyone have a great day.
Yep. All right.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. All right. Bye-bye.